article by Jessica Hopper on the ABC News website 2011, she describes how J.C. Dugard was kidnapped and held captive in a backyard compound where she was repeatedly raped. After 18 years of imprisonment, J.C. and her 2 daughters were finally rescued in 2009. In an interview with ABC News, J.C. gives substantial credit of her family's recovery to equine therapy. With the help of horses, J.C. and her family were able to learn to rebuild trust with one another and conquer fears as they started on a path to a new life. Equine-assisted therapy is emerging to be an alternative method of treatment for those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. I myself have experienced the influence of horses changing my life. They have helped me work through my learning disabilities, which inspired me to pass on the impact they can have by becoming a volunteer and coach through 4 Horseshoes, an equine-assisted therapy program for kids with disabilities. I've personally witnessed the positive impact horses can have on people who are going through tough situations. I've seen people become better versions of themselves as they learn to cope with their own personal difficulties. For years, my family and I opened our home to families with deployed military family members so they could experience life in the country. And by doing so, we met very many people who had dealt with traumatic experiences. By seeing the incredible impact horses can have on these broken people, it's not surprising that equine therapy is a growing alternative method to treating those who suffer from PTSD. The Mayo Clinic defines PTSD as a mental health condition that is triggered by a terrifying event, either witnessed or experienced. Some symptoms include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, and often uncontrollable thoughts about that event. The most widely used forms of treatment include the use of medications and psychotherapy. Although the effects of PTSD are exhausting, the stigma of getting mental health help in a clinical environment can be very scary to those who have already experienced trauma. In a government study done by the Military Medical Research Program on veterans who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, it was found that after only 3 weeks of therapeutic horseback riding, the participants had a 66.7% likelihood of having lower PTSD scores. After 6 weeks, they had an 87.5% likelihood of having lower PTSD scores. It is proven that the quiet, natural, and holistic environment of being in a barn setting and working with horses can reduce PTSD symptoms. Equine-assisted therapy is a versatile program that incorporates activities such as grooming, leading, and riding horses to aid those with PTSD in an engaging healing process. The Equine-Assisted Growth and Learning Association, or EGALA, describes equine therapy as working where other traditional methods of treatment fail. Unlike the typical psychotherapy process, the pressure is taken off of the patient when working with the horse. This allows them to relax and learn to interact and overcome. Horses mirror their handlers' emotions, which often causes frustration and inner struggles to rise to the surface. This forces the patient to learn to deal with them. The process of being faced with inner challenges is beneficial to a large group of people. Equine-assisted therapy is a growing field of treatment that reaches out to many subcultures dealing with PTSD. Because there are evidence-based studies proven the benefits of equine therapy, it has expanded past helping veterans to also helping those of different subcultures. For example, Women, Horses, and Healing in Silver Bay deals exclusively with women who have been physically, mentally, or emotionally abused. Another example, Red Horse Nation, which is an organization that is geared toward Native Americans and their culture that has suffered historical trauma. Hazelden and Bettyford treatment facilities are also using equine therapy to help people. They help people with addictions, many of which have roots to PTSD. Lastly, Crystal Peaks Youth Ranch in Bend, Oregon, was started in order to create a safe, healing environment for kids who have experienced trauma. As I close today, I want everyone to think about people in your lives that may be struggling with PTSD. Whether it be family, friends, or neighbors, there are people everywhere who are silently suffering. PTSD is a devastating mental health disorder that has symptoms and repercussions that have been statistically proven to be lowered by equine therapy. Through the activities of grooming, leading, and riding horses with professional mental health programs and certified training facilities, patients can overcome the side effects, stigma, and intimidation of getting clinical mental health care. So if you know anyone who has PTSD, you now have the knowledge to tell them about equine therapy and how it can be beneficial to them.